this is not a twin. This is more like a clone of Khamzat Chimaev. Man, they're all like, Chimaev is so good, we need another one of him. And we better get familiar with his name because this guy's also scary good. His name is Khamzat Borz Maaev, who's also undefeated. He's also Chechen. He's also like 6'1", 6'2". He also has the same reach at like 75, 76 inches. And he's a welterweight as well. The guy has a great Darce choke, which is a technique that Khamzat has beat some of his opponents with. He has a dynamic right hand, just like Khamzat. I mean, they're both named Khamzat, just like Chimaev. They have the same nickname. When the guy goes bald, he looks exactly like Chimaev. His face is a bit different, but clones aren't going to be necessarily looking the exact same way when it comes to facial features. We learned that from movies many times. But the guy is honestly really good. He's only 23 years old, 4-0 now, has finished all of his opponents in the first round. He has 3 knockout wins and 1 submission win. So far, he fought in Khamzat Fight, which was the fight before this, and then he fought in Brave. The guy seems to be very powerful. The guy seems to understand distance very well at his age. I mean, he's so young. It's incredible to see him actually gauge distance the way he does. When he fought Tagir Magomedov, how he stepped away from the low single was pretty slick and then caught his opponent when he was standing up with the right hand, stunning him. His opponent then shot another takedown, and instead of just moving away, which he absolutely could have done, he instead countered with an instant Darce choke. This was an incredibly fast Darce choke he got on his opponent and secured it so tightly. He pushed his opponent up against the fence with the Darce choke because he wanted to use the cage against his opponent. This is actually some really good fight IQ, trapping the opponent in that submission against the fence, restricting an escape from his opponent almost completely. Look what he does with his feet. He's pushing off the fence, putting more pressure into the choke. When do you see that? This is a 23-year-old who just started MMA a couple years ago. He's only been fighting like once a year on average, but he definitely has to get more active. He's talking about that he wants to be an even better version of Chimaev, and if that's the case, he's got to get rolling. And then when his most recent opponent, Eli Farah, he threw some pretty good leg kicks. He had good snap rotation into those, but he stepped a bit too far into the second one, and his opponent was able to grab onto it and turn it into a single leg. But he immediately was getting elbowed to the temple and eventually fell. So far, it looks like Khamzat Maaev has some great power in his strikes. He has, from the little amount we've seen so far, really good grappling skills, and the guy's only going to get better. I foresee him entering the UFC very quickly. Get familiar with this guy because he's going to be a problem. It's actually not going to be that hard to be familiar with him because he's Chimaev's clone, apparently. I never thought I would say this, but Khamzat versus Khamzat would be a banger. So I expect him to get a few more fights before he makes a big transition to one of the major organizations. It would make absolute sense for him to go to the UFC. I'm pretty sure they're going to want him if he keeps performing the same way. He's blowing through these guys. Now, of course, his opponents are not going to be the most experienced. They're not going to be the most technical or anything like that. I mean, the guy's only 23 years old and only has 4 professional fights. How could he be, you know? But I wonder if he's going to go up against someone who was as decorated as Ikram Aliskerov. So it kind of mimics what Khamzat Chimaev did before he went to the UFC, because before, Khamzat Chimaev didn't fight anybody up to par until he fought Ikram. And people didn't think Ikram was that good until we spotlighted him a little bit, we showed some of his skills, then people were starting to take notice, and then he came into the UFC and had a fantastic debut, showing everybody that the guy's for real. Now for Khamzat Maaev, hopefully it's a similar thing, where he's able to defeat a good opponent like that, or just put on a highlight reel, destroying all of these guys, make a name for himself outside of the major organizations, so when he enters for his debut, a lot of people are going to know who he already is, and he's going to have some high expectations. So leave in the comments below, what do you guys think of him? Do you guys think he's going to be something special? Do you think he's going to mimic and perform the way Khamzat Chimaev has been? Or do you think he's not going to live up to the expectations?